amens are coming through. Amens are coming through. Oh, yes, indeed, amen and amen. We would love to let you know that we are recording. We are recording this session, and so it's being recorded. And I would love to let you know that, these days in the space of compliance, in the space of the Data Protection Act, and we'd love to be compliant. Indeed, we are recording. We also want to let you know that it's beautiful for you to keep your mics off. Keep your mics off. I am right back. I will not be intimidated by technology. Here we are. What was I saying? Somebody reminds me what I was saying. Was I saying I was going to have a fantastic time? Or what was I saying? Am I talking to myself? Good people, we are not going to operate like this. No. We will not. Where was I? I trust you are listening to me. Yes? We fasten our seatbelts. That's what I was saying. Round of applause for that. Yes, let's fasten our seatbelts. We are rocking this. We are here. Let me tell you why we are here. I know you know. I know you know why we are here, but let me just let you know why we are here. We are here because we want to discuss, we really want to dive into and unpack and get in the space of managing human capital, this multi-generational workforce. We have generations from all over. We need to see how to bridge the gaps, how to collaborate. What has the shift been locally, regionally, globally? How do we lead better? How do we have a culture that drives excellence across all generations? How do we grow? How do we ensure all-round success? This is in the space of situational happenings on the ground, what's happening qua ground, what's happening best practice, what do we want to learn from one another, and we have a power-packed panel to take us through this. And so, in the interest of inclusion, because one of our panelists today is very, very passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so in the space of inclusion, we shall start with the boy child, Martin, Sir Martin. The boy child is being sidelined. And so we shall introduce you first today and say that indeed, you are the one we will introduce first. There is Margaret and there is Martin. So here's Martin. Martin is very, very passionate about human capital. He's very passionate about people. He's been doing this for a very long time. He is driven by the fact that if it works well with people, it will work well in the world. He has worked with different sectors. He's worked in different spaces. He's worked in different regions. He has been in the space of consulting. He's been in the space of multi-generational factors and bringing that into place. And Martin is here with us today to let us know what he has to say and why he's important in this conversation. But before we get started, Martin, please tell us, what's your favorite food? What do you like to eat? What, when you eat, speaks to your soul? What is that? What is that?
What speaks to my soul is rice. Ama kama huku Tanzania tunasema ni wali in any shape and form.
Okay.
In any shape and form. Pilau, biryani, wali just kavu,
wali nazi.
Wali nazi.
Right.
All of them.
Right. Fabulous. I see that we're in the same WhatsApp group. We enjoy our rice, and we will be talking a little bit more about that as we go along. Let me introduce our next panelist. Our next panelist coming up is Mary Nyagi. Mary Nyagi says that why she is here, why she was created, why she's been in this space is because she has two very, very, very wonderful daughters. So at the end of time, she will be asked, what did you do with the gifts that you gave me? And she was saying, I looked after these beautiful girls. Look at them. Look at who they are and see how I have raised them with passion and with care. So that's Mary right there. And that's what she's passionate about. She's a group HR business partner, Equity Group Holdings. That's what she's doing currently. However, she has a great wealth of experience across board, working in FMCG, working across different continents, working in talent acquisition, the entire spectrum. She has papers. Please don't just see Mary like this. Mary has papers. As you can see where her papers come from. Her papers have crossed the seas. We're talking about Wales. We're talking about Edinburgh. Yeah, we have the right panelists in place. And Mary is just who we want to listen to today. Mary, tell us, what's your favorite color in the whole world? And why do you like that color? Talk to us, Mary.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Carol. Thank you for having me. So my favorite color is easy, royal purple. And I think that runs in the family. We love the royal purple color. And it's just, and I can see your background is purple. So I feel like I fit right in.
Right. Fabulous, fabulous. Purple right there. It brings royalty to you. It brings the grace and it brings the majesty, just like you are. Our other panelist today is Margaret. Margaret is very, very passionate about inclusion. Margaret is award-winning on this inclusion agenda. She wants to ensure that nobody is left behind. She has been able to expand the scope and the thinking to have people with disabilities included in every single space, and so that their voices are heard and that there's equity and equitability where they are concerned. She's currently in Safaricom as the manager resourcing and talent management. That's what she's doing. But she's also worked in FMCG, she's worked in finance, and she is a first class, as you can see, first class. We are not talking about subpar things, we're talking about first class things. And so therefore, our first class Margaret is in the house. Margaret, tell us, if you were not a human being, if you are not this beautiful human being that you are, what would you be and why? Over to you, Margaret.
Thank you, Caroline. So if I was not a human being, I would prefer being a bird, specifically an eagle. That's because it has got a powerful vision. When it sets focus to a prey, it does not focus on any obstacle. It focuses on that prey until it gets it. So in life, you also need to have vision. You need to have focus and not let any obstacle hinder you from achieving your goal. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. I love that. I love that. We shall not let obstacles get in the way. We shall have precision and vision and all of that. So let's discuss. We are in the space to discuss. Let's discuss this evening. We're talking about multi-generational. And we can see that the baby boomers didn't complain too much about the Gen Xers. Somehow the baby boomers and the Gen Xers were rhyming. There wasn't too much complaint there. Then arrived the millennials, and the boomers and the Xers started complaining about the millennials. And now the Xers and the millennials are complaining about the Gen Z. So this multi-generational conversation, can it really work? Is it something that we can get going? Can there be collaboration? Can there be harmony? Can there be alignment? Is it really possible? So let me ask Mary this question. Is it possible? Are we just complaining in vain? What's happening on the ground where you are at? Are the generations working well together? Is there a clash? Really, talk to us. Talk to us.
Sorry, just repeat the last bit. You were breaking.
Oh, I'm breaking up. Oh, sorry about that. I was saying, is it really possible for these different generations to align and collaborate in the workplace? Is it a dream or is it really possible? What's happening where you are?
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. So I think it is definitely possible for all these generations to collaborate, communicate, align, and work seamlessly together. but it requires quite a bit of consciousness and being very purposeful in identifying ourselves differently, identifying each other's differences so that we can be able to consciously get the right output out of each other. So I've seen it happen wherever I am in the previous organizations that I've worked at. Actually, I think it would be quite boring if you just had only one generation working in one organization. So I think all the generations bring in their unique talents and skills and expertise and benefits and strengths so that you can actually have a dynamic workforce.
Right, right. You're talking about being purposeful, you're talking about being intentional, you're talking about being deliberate, and that we need to really plan for it to happen and not imagine that it's just going to happen like that, right? And with that in mind, I'm thinking through how, when we look at all of these generations, we are struggling with tech. Truth be told, we are struggling with tech. The younger generations, the Zers and the Ys, are struggling in the sense that they imagine that all of these co-pilots, all of these GPTs, whether it's Claude, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's DeepSeek, whether it's the social media AIs, whether it's WhatsApp AI, whether it is Facebook AI, whether it's Grok from X, it's going to run away with their jobs. And then the older generations are feeling, I can't cope with this. This is moving too fast. I can't hack this. Margaret, you are in a very tech space. What are you seeing with regards to tech, to digital transformation, to the digital space, to AI, and what's happening with the generations? What's going on there? Please let us know.
Yeah, so thanks for that question. In terms of the technology, we have to embrace it. So you will find perhaps the baby boomers and the Gen X might not be tech savvy in comparison to the millennials and the Gen Z who are tech savvy, but we need to create an inclusive culture where we accept technology because that change is here to stay. So for example, I can speak of health and well-being. For instance, how I am using it is in terms of personalized health monitoring. So at times you can work and you're not able to take rest, but you can use your device that has got, artificial intelligence able to advise you it's time to take your walk. It's able to track the number of steps that you do. It's able to do an analysis, just ensuring that you're able to take breaks. Maybe it's time for you to do physical wellness on yourself. So we can be able to use this artificial intelligence in personalized health monitoring. Remember, physical well-being and mental well-being is something that we really need to take care of. Also, the area I can also speak of is on the recruitment. We are now seeing organizations have embraced recruitment systems that is utilizing artificial intelligence, where it's able to screen resume and match candidates to suitable roles. So perhaps the baby boomers might feel these systems are not inclusive, and therefore it is us to ensure, as we embrace these systems, are we training them to accept this change and even to utilize this system so that all of us are inclusive and feel part and parcel of the organization?
Yeah. Right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Martin, as the Chief People Officer at Y9 Bank, the financial services sector has by far overtaken. We used to benchmark in terms of convenience. We used to benchmark in terms of getting things done with efficiency in the hospitality sector. That's where things would run seamlessly, the experiences would be great. But right now we are benchmarking with financial services because there's so much in fintech. There's so much technology to make lives better, easier, more convenient, faster. As in your space and in the financial services sector that you are in right now, what are you seeing with regards to tech, AI, and the different generations? Is the fear valid or not valid? What's going on where you are at?
So the fear is, let me say it's valid, because then when you're in the dark, you then don't know what to expect. And I think a friend of mine once said, the fear of the unknown is really just that, because until you know it, you'll continue to fear it. And so the understanding of what AI is bringing and what machine learning can do for efficiencies and effectiveness of work, just as Margaret and Mary have said, looking at the different opportunities there are in every industry. So let alone financial services. You know, like for us right now, we are shifting from looking at credit models that are based on simply records that you have, and it's moving to more AI models. And I think Mary can also attest to that, because in equity, they are doing similar work where credit models are AI based. And so there's more predictability of the future and your ability to pay, rather than looking at your past and whether you have paid before. And so really the thinking needs to shift, and I think that's where we're being left behind in as far as the generations, where the boomers and the Gen X's are stuck at adapting to technology and you know, just that being a blocker. Whereas if we move into leveraging and thinking about it from a leveraging perspective, remember our leaders are still the boomers and the Gen X's. So if policy is being stuck in a place where we are thinking about adaptability rather than leveraging, then the fear will remain valid. But the second we start moving and shifting our mindset to creating policies that then leverage on AI and tech, then the fear will start being eradicated from the workplace, and we can move to efficiencies.
Yes, yes. And in learning and development, because that's where, for us to get unstuck, as Martin is saying, we need to be in continuous curiosity mode. You know, it was said before from boomers and Xers that curiosity killed the cat. We are now scratching that. We are not cats. We are going to be killed. We need to stay hungry. We need to stay curious. We need to continuous learning. Margaret, what do we need to do to be continuously learning so that we are not afraid? As Martin says, we are stuck. We are afraid. So we are not afraid from up down. We're not afraid laterally. We're not afraid from down up. What's going on the ground with you, and what can we do from a learning perspective with regards to tech and AI?
Yes, so we need to ensure that we become lifelong students. So upskilling and reskilling is going to be with us. So what made you relevant today might not make you relevant tomorrow. So you need to understand what are the trends that we are seeing, what are the tech skills that are required in the marketplace. We are seeing artificial intelligence is here with us, machine learning, cloud computing. So we now need to start embracing some of these tech skills and not just being able to get it, from a theory perspective, but you now need to go a notch higher and start getting practicability of the tech skill that you have acquired. And we have set such programs in our organizations where we have partnered with learning institutions, and we are able to guide the institutions on the courses that they need to teach in school. So by the time the graduates are now coming, they are ready for the marketplace. So we have the internship program where we are able to give opportunities to students to put their skills into practice. We have the graduate management program. That's another forum that we are able to guide and prepare future leaders, equipping them still with the tech skills. So for me, what I can say, reskilling and upskilling is going to become very relevant for us to remain tech savvy.
Got you. Reskilling.
Sorry, Caroline, can I add
yes,
to
Martin, you want to jump into that conversation?
Yes, because there's something Margaret has said that's really important around this reskilling and upskilling. And I think just to add to that, and to go to the previous point of fear, I think the whole concept of where the future of work is going is very much around multi-skilling as well. Where you're not going to be focused on a linear career trajectory, but you need to be able to understand different facets of business and how work will look like in the future. And so even as we think of reskilling, I think I'll applaud Safaricom for thinking about it that way and bringing in brains early into the business to see what work is about. But even those who are already in the business, they need to leverage on collaboration and think about what's finance doing if I'm in HR, what's procurement doing if I am in sales, and understanding what can I do with my skill sets and make them fluid across the business, where eventually it's going to become, yes, I trained in HR, but truly the same way that unfortunately in the East African space, you could have gone to school for HR but ended up doing marketing, for instance. But that understanding that that's you're in a space to add value to it. You could add value in a marketing space. Just because you're trained in HR doesn't mean you're going to be in HR forever. And that's becoming truer and truer. So in that L&D kind of space where you're taking charge of your own career and just finding out what is it that people want in a marketing space, in a HR space, and allowing yourself the opportunity to learn from others in those spaces.
Correct. You're talking about two things there, Martin. You're talking about career fluidity. Like, I studied for this, but now the world needs this. So how can I align, adapt, adjust to change so that I can run with what the world needs, what the environment needs, what the future needs, and at the same time, the learning perspective. Mary, tell us from your experience across the years, because you have over 16 years of experience doing this thing and causing people to be their best. What is in the way of this learning process? Am I able to learn? Can you teach an old dog new tricks? I think that saying is you can't teach I'm an old dog. I'm a Gen X. I'm an elder. I am above 50. I'm in the elders club. Can I be taught, or am I an old dog? Maybe what are you seeing across the generation?
Yeah, so thanks, Carol. I think definitely you can teach an old dog in quotes new tricks. We are seeing a lot of reinvention of careers, for example. You're talking about career fluidity. We are seeing people who are getting to a certain age and they feel that, I've had, especially when you talk about, let's say, the Gen Xs, I've had my career in HR for 20 years. And I feel that I just need that reinvention. I need to re-energize myself, and I'm bored. So we are seeing a lot of people now taking the career shift, and getting into roles such as chiefs of staff or even CEOs. You've seen that, if you look at the background of the KCB CEO. So we are seeing a lot of people getting to that point in their careers where they feel, I studied HR, I've done HR, I've had a good career in HR, but I want to try something completely different. And they are actually going in and doing extremely, extremely well. But you have to have several elements or rather criteria. You have to be passionate, you have to be willing to change, so that agility and mindset shift has to be very purposed. Even just the tech skills as well. You're also being forced now, not from a career perspective, but from a work perspective. You just have to take on the technology angle that is coming across, and that has been there and will continue to be there. So we are seeing a lot of Gen X's really saying, look, teach me. I'm willing to learn. I have good head on my shoulders, and they're also learning from the juniors. So that's from the Gen Z. So through, I would say, reverse mentoring. So we are doing a lot of Gen Zs coming up with academies or trainings that will actually train the senior leaders on several elements such as technology, AI, and things coming up, and the trends, showing them what the trends are. And it's a very exciting time. It really reinvents the old dogs, as you put it. And in fact, I would encourage all people, once you get to a certain age, try and learn something completely different. Pick it up, really re-energizes, improves productivity. So we are seeing a lot of people coming in and learning new ways of working. And it's really bringing in that productivity, energy, and engagement.
Got you. Absolutely got you. There is hope for us old dogs. There's hope, old dogs in the house. There is hope for us. Mary has said there is hope. You know, Mary, when you were talking, I could see Margaret nodding very vigorously when you talked about agility, and Martin nodding very vigorously when you talked about reverse mentorship. So let me jump on Maggie about agility, and then I'll come to you, Martin, about reverse mentorship. Maggie, what do we need to keep agile? Because you see, when we look at job descriptions, when we look at what the employer wants, it says, you know, it needs X years in this. Maggie and Mary is telling us we need to learn, we need to, like, I'm an environmentalist. I can as well go ahead and be a rocket scientist if I like, or I could be a DJ if I like, or whatever I want to be. But what is always being asked for is X number of years on how do we stay agile? How do we ensure that we can be fluid in our careers and we can jump from this and keep growing, keep growing? Maggie, what do you think? What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
I will reiterate on what my colleague Mary has said in terms of the mindset. So you really need to have that mindset of just learning something new. For instance, you could have done perhaps a certain course in school. You could be a human resource professional, but now we require you perhaps to have a tech skill that will make you to be relevant given the digital future of our nation and even for our economy. So first, for me, it starts with your mindset. And then you also need to attend networking events and just being able to interact with different stakeholders. For example, I'll speak of Safaricom Decode. So this is an event that started 2 years ago where it's a technological summit where we have brought in different stakeholders, the tech policy makers, the government officials, the engineers, the students. They're able to discuss how technology will be able to improve service delivery in businesses, and also how to enhance growth as we prepare to adapt to the digital future of our nation. So it's not just the mindset, it's not just acquiring the tech skills, but go a notch higher and attend networking events.
Right, right. So we need to take initiative. We need to push ourselves. We need to go out and do things. I looked at beautiful posts on LinkedIn about Decode, and I was like, I need to be there doing that. Exciting things going on. And there was everyone from HR space, from procurement. It was not all tech. And so people really, even in non-tech, talking about things with such precision and with such passion. Martin, you were nodding vigorously when Mary was talking about reverse mentorship. Is it possible? Because we're always looking at the Gen Zers, the people younger than us, and saying, quote unquote, and I know you all in the room are with me. Now, what can this young person teach me? This one who was born just the other day was in diapers. When I was in school, when I had finished school, they were still breastfeeding. What can this one teach me? Is that narrative true? Is there something we can do about it? What do you have to say about reverse mentorship, Martin?
So I think, as rightly put, the biases exist. That there's nothing I can learn. There's nothing new under the sun that I will learn. But truly, there's a lot new. The thing that is consistent is our ability to change and our ability to grasp new ideas. Now, if you look at learning and different pedagogies of learning, if you think about how to quickly take up something, you could have it from the perspective of, I go to an expert, and this is how we learned in days past, where you have apprentices. And so what it was is you go to someone who knows how to do what needs to be done, and you learn under them and sit at their feet. And so in this situation, we are accepting, first of all, the mental agility, as my colleagues have spoken about, is very necessary to make this a reality, because it means you're accepting that there are things you do not know, and there are things that you even don't know that you don't know. And so when you're in that space of acceptance, you're then saying, okay, look, you know this better. If I go to school and start learning this, I'll be so confused. And so if I can watch you doing what you do, and then we do it together, and then I can go ahead and do this, and vice versa. So the things that you don't know as well as a Gen Z, you will come to me and I'll be able to coach you. But the mental agility, you see, the person coming into the workplace as a young person, their position is already one of, I accept I need to learn. But the person who's been in the workplace is saying, no, I am the teacher. And so it all starts from that ability to be mentally flexible and agree to be in that uncomfortable space, one, of I actually don't know, and accepting that I don't know. And so once that happens, then learning from or reverse mentorship becomes a reality and actually something that we can leverage on, because then your growth is exponential, because you know what you know, plus you now also know what you didn't know.
Yeah. It's a mindset shift. It's a mind thing. We need to be in the space of being teachable. We need to be in the space of being coachable, both down up, because the same bias that exists for what would this young person teach me exists with a young person wondering, now this fossil.
Exactly.
This fossil, what are this one should just retire? I mean, what are they coming to say here? The world has moved on, and what can I learn from this person? They remind me of a dinosaur. So we really need to, both ways, see how to have an attitude where we want to continuously learn and continuously grow. And there's resources and spaces and things that we can do to grow. And I will call Sheila up right now in the next 4 or so minutes, 3, 4, 5 minutes, to tell us what we can do to improve ourselves as we grow, in terms of what can we do from a strategic perspective? What can we do from a learning and development perspective? What can we do to grow ourselves? And Resource Associates is very, very passionate about that. So as we wait for Sheila to come up, Mary, tell me about this career fluidity that we are saying we need to grasp and we need to grab and we need to be in the space of. We are still very acculturated in this part of the world, that when I grow up, when we ask young people, even today, when you grow up, what profession would you like to be? Nobody says these exciting things in the space of innovation. We are still stuck to doctor. If your child gets an A, one is saying, oh, you're going to do medicine. Oh, in fact, the child feels very harassed about that. How come the generations that have pumped this downwards cause it to be different? Because the world is different. What could we do to change? What could we do to change, Mary?
Yeah. So I think, Carol, what we can do to change is start from scratch. So that means starting from the time where we are graduating. So we need to have the mindset where even us as employers will stop the notion that we are looking at one particular or one or two particular degrees for you to get into a certain role. So I remember when I was studying abroad, when we would apply for internships or jobs, they would actually say in the UK, we just want any degree for you to come in and do a graduate program or to come in and just work with us, whatever organization, even the big organizations, the JP Morgans and the like. So we need to start from there, where we are not biasing the new graduates from saying what course have you done. You can only, if you've done HR, you can only do HR. If you've done a financial degree, you can only get a career in finance. So I think if we start from there and open up our own minds and change the trends, we can be trendsetters to say whatever course you've done, as long as you've done a degree, you come on board. Just as long as you're passionate and you think you can gain purpose out of a certain role, and you think you can be good in a certain role, come in and jump into the ship, and you will be successful. So we need to start from there,
right?
And that will actually help them to grow and within their roles and within their careers in a very open mindset. So they'll actually feel, once I do my 5, 6, 7, 10 years in this career, I can then now move into something else. So I think we need to start from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you talking about being trendsetters. I love that. I hear you talking about growth mindsets. I love that. Right now, let's listen to Sheila and what is happening at Resource Associates. And then I promise you that I'm coming back with a story about how a Gen Z just quit dramatically. So hang in there. Let's listen to Sheila, and I promise you a story right after this. Sheila, talk to us.
Thank you, Caroline. I love the energy. I'm loving what I'm hearing. A lot has already been said, Caroline. I'm not sure how much more I can add to it. But just to let you know that we at Resource Associates are here as your learning partner. We are here to help you in retooling and reskilling. And as an organizational development consultancy firm, we are here to help organizations, implement and embed the right organizational cultures to drive strategy. And so I'll just quickly go through what we do at Resource Associates. And if you can move to the next slide, please. That's our mission. I'll then move on to the next slide. I will not dwell too much on that one, but we've been doing this for over 21 years. Actually, it's about 23 years now. Our focus is on organizational development. Our focus is on leadership development. Our focus is also on executive selection. And all our services are bespoke. So we customize. We come into organizations. We appreciate the challenge. We work together to co-create a solution that works for your organization. So if it is, looking at how we can strengthen teams to work together, this multi-generational workforce, how can we strengthen those to collaborate and to become a lot more agile, because that's what the world is asking for today. Those are solutions that we can customize for you. We're also working with organizations to transform business processes. And this is something that has come up in the advent of COVID. Organizations are relooking at how effective, how efficiently they're using their resources. And this includes the human resource, but also their processes and their systems within their organizations to achieve their objectives. And so, in a nutshell, this is what we do. We're involved in executive selection as well, and we run the Thomas International Assessments. And we're happy to work with you. We're happy to support you. Please get in touch should you need our support as a result of what we've discussed here, or maybe something that we've not even touched about here, but you've seen that's of interest from what I have spoken about. But thank you very much, Caroline, and thank you, Martin, Margaret, and Mary, for a really engaging conversation. And there's a lot that I'm learning from this as well. One of them key for some of us who are those old guards is retooling and reskilling. Retooling and reskilling, and the flexibility to learn and to adapt and to become a lot more agile. I think it was Martin who said, is it adapting versus something else? Martin, what was that?
So it was adapting versus leveraging.
Leveraging, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and I recently learned a new one. You must pivot. You must learn when to pivot, the right time to pivot. And that applies not just to us, the old guard, but even to the young people. Yeah, just learn to pivot with your careers. If you find it's not working, make that decision quickly and pivot. Thank you.
Okay, and that right there is Sheila for you. Sheila is the founder, and just Resource Associates is really a great foundational pillar because of Sheila. See what I did there? Pillar because of Sheila. And this great webinar is courtesy of Resource Associates. You can just see the kind of things they do. So I promised you a story. Story. Please write story, come in the chat, or I'm not telling you this story. Story. I want to see like 2 or 3 story comes, and then I'll hit you with this story. Story come from Grace. Yeah, Grace wants the story. Daniel wants the story. Okay, Martin wants the story. Another. Okay. All right. Anne wants the story. Okay, Rebecca wants the. Here is the story. So let me tell you, and when somebody starts a story with "let me tell you," the story is hot. My good friend Agatha. Agatha Juma, most of you know her from Engage, the sort of Kenyan TED Talk, East African TED Talk, if you might call it that. Posted this beautiful story on LinkedIn this week, and she said that she was managing a team and her intern just quit in a dramatic her intern was a Gen Z, quit. So when Agatha goes to the HR to ask the HR what happened, why did my intern quit? The HR tells her, you are so mean to her, you talked so badly to her, you oppressed her, her mental health was going to boat, you did all of these things to her. And Agatha is like, who, me? Me? I did what? When? Where? How did that happen? Which world am I living in? And she started to question even her leadership abilities and mentorship abilities, because you can imagine this is a seasoned person in the workplace versus the intern. And so she tells the HR, please call everybody, call her, we need to talk. So they have a roundtable talk. And then Agatha is wondering to the intern, what is it? Why do you feel I was mean to you? And the intern says, you told me that I am not pulling my weight on this team. You told me that you're not feeling the impact and the output of the work that I am doing. And Agatha is wondering, yeah, indeed, I told you that. Where is the problem? And the intern is like, no, you cannot tell me that. That means I'm meaningless, I'm useless, I'm valueless, and all of this, and quit. And so the HR had to mediate, and the intern came back to work, because Agatha did not mean that. She was saying that, but she didn't mean it like that. She didn't mean you're valueless, you're useless, you don't amount to anything. But that's what the intern was hearing. At the same time, the intern could see that indeed Agatha is not just being mean to her. She just wanted her to push herself, stretch herself, challenge herself, and do better. So this brings us to our conversation around multi-generational communication. How do we handle this? What can we do to do better? What's the language? What's the languaging? Yeah, Natalie, the vibe was not giving. It was not bringing. It was not flying. It was not late. It was all of those things. And so, Margaret, you work with a lot of Gen Z in the tech space. What can we do around communication? Because as Martin has said, leadership is generally a bit older, but the workforce is generally a bit younger. What are you seeing, Margaret? Talk to us.
Yes, so the millennials and the Gen Z perhaps will prefer to use the tech-savvy tools, be it Zoom, Microsoft Teams, the Google Meet, while perhaps the older generation may prefer face-to-face communication. And therefore, what we need to do is to ensure that we create a hybrid that works for both. Even though some prefer using the tech-savvy tools, can we create a culture or a working environment where we accommodate both generations? Because if you don't do that, remember the baby boomers and the Gen X have the institutional knowledge, and the millennials and the Gen Z have the tech-savvy. But how do we bring all these two generations together at the workplace to be able to be beneficial to both parties? So I would say, even though some are tech savvy, we don't want to leave anyone behind. It's for us to ensure the practices, the culture, the policies we put in place are inclusive in terms of the communication tools.
Right. Inclusion. Martin, there's so much about, you see the way this Gen Z said, but you're affecting my mental health. I can't deal. I've gone. Bye-bye. I've gone. How do we communicate in a way that doesn't cause younger people to feel stressed, to feel anxiety, to feel worried, to feel overwhelmed at the workplace? Because there's a lot of discussion around mental health, and we are seeing it with the younger ones. We are not seeing it too much with the boomers and the Xers who are hardcore. We survived this and we survived that. How do we bridge that communication gap, Martin?
So when we're looking about communication, some things will always remain true. That you need to ensure that communication has happened, which means I have given a message. I need to ensure that the message was understood, and that when it was understood, it can be implemented. And so what it means then for a more inclusive communication style is similar to what Margaret was saying. Not one size fits all in how we communicate and the channels we use to communicate. And so understanding that the different opportunities to communicate, both hard messages as well as soft messages, need to be used and practiced. And so in thinking about that, you're in the space where if I am trying to pass a message, and I'm trying to think about the how this would be received, a huge piece of what we are now needing to measure as leaders is the emotional intelligence of the leader or of the communicator in that sense. And it's something you have mentioned, that the boomers and the Gen Xers are more hardy, and we've done this. However, that is actually a response of trauma, or has led to trauma that has made us thick-skinned, and we don't want to pass that trauma on from generation to generation. And so this younger group is coming in, yes, traumatized, but less traumatized, where in their own circles, they've been communicating in a certain way. And tech has sort of bridged or closed the gap in who I can talk to. And so a young person is coming to the workplace and has engaged with very senior people on LinkedIn from around the world, and has had conversations with so many people by the time they're coming into the workplace. And so why I'm talking about EQ as being a very important and effective tool in communicating is being aware, one, that what I'm saying might not be understood the way I hoped it would be understood. And so finding the different ways of leveraging, like HR in Agatha's example, but now having that flexibility of mind to then say, okay, this is a learning for me, that not everything I say will be taken as I say it. So how then do I build my emotional intelligence to be able to take pause and take stock of exactly what I'm saying and how I'm saying it? I know in the beginning, it might sound like, now this is another roadblock. I'm trying to manage a business and make money. That is my bottom line. But you can't make the money without taking care of your people first, without having resource that stays and gives you some stickability. I'm not talking about staying for 20 years, but that's the stickability in how people are able to respond and do what you need them to do when they do it. Remember, people don't leave jobs, they leave managers. And part of it is exactly what you were saying, that this is how I feel. And yes, we're not talking about coddling in the workplace. We're talking about ensuring what I am saying is being received in the way I said it. So we have to take pause and understand that, even as leaders and people in a certain authority over someone you're communicating to, and vice versa. That this is what I'm trying to tell you, that quitting is also sending a message. It's communicating. It's communicating that you are not the leader I want to work under. But that is not what she was communicating. What this intern was communicating was, I didn't appreciate how you talked to me. And so both sides need to be able to learn the coding and encoding, the basics of what communication is, and then putting empathy into that process. And so, at first it's hard, but it gets easier with time as you keep learning.
Right. Mary, Martin is talking about learning, unlearning, relearning, and how do we ensure performance pressure? We performance pressure, like I'm sure where you are, I'm sure there's high performance pressure. We know how banking is right now, and the performance pressure is like a pressure cooker. How do we ensure that performance pressure does not overtake the space of wellness, the space of safety in conversations, the space of psychological safety, even if we can talk about that? What can we do? What can you tell leaders that they could do so that they lead better? Mary?
Okay, so I was just laughing at your story there on the Gen Z, and I'm not surprised she behaved that way because you actually, emotional intelligence, as Martin talked about, is very, very important. And you really have to understand the mindset of the people that you're leading, especially in this case being the Gen Z person. the pressure. Now coming to your question, the pressure that this person probably has. So in the future of work, we are seeing a lot of emphasis on wellness and well-being, being one of the key elements to allow people to perform better.
Right.
So in terms of performance pressure, one of the things I would say to leaders is performance should be an output of the things that you do to support the employee, and it will come with time. So there's certain elements or checklists that you need to do to ensure that you ensure that the employee is both performing and productive. I think I'll also add on that word as well. So we are seeing people in all generations, requiring to know, first of all, what exactly, why are they there? What is there clarity as to what they want to do? And a lot of the times there is performance pressure, but they're not very clear on what exactly is expected. So I think bringing that clarity of role, clarity of output, and also bringing in the support and enablement. I think also for leaders, apart from being clear to employees on exactly what they need to do, they need to really bring that support that is required, and support is unique to each and every employee. So you need to ensure that you're constantly engaging, having the constant conversations, honest conversations with the employees to ensure that you're understanding where the person is at any one point in time. Because today I might be in a good space and I'm performing very well and I'm being very productive, but tomorrow I'm going through a very hard point in my life. And you really don't know why or that has happened, and even I may not realize that my performance is dwindling. And as I continue that way, there's no intervention, quick intervention, and basically it continues that way. The ball keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. So I think that first of all, the clarity, and then the constant communication is very, very important. I think in the high performance environments like ours, you'll find that majority of the time you as a line manager, you're extremely busy as well yourself. So you don't even have the time to, support this person. You're just thinking, just do your work. And you're not understanding why this person is actually just not performing. So you really need to provide the time and ensure that you're connecting at least every month, once a month at the bare minimum, with your people to ensure that you're removing blockers. The younger generation also really value as leaders who can remove blockers for them. And so that's why you're saying things like, this person is older and somebody feels you need to retire. So they really want you to play an active role in their leadership, so that they can actually really see you as a leader. And think about how else can we improve performance. Don't have the analog thinking. Think of the AI tools that Margaret was talking about. How can we improve? How can we remove boring, mundane pieces of work? Can we automate some of them? Some of them, some of the activities that are taking long to do can be automated, can remove a lot of time, and can allow to release time for more meaningful work. So I think it's different elements, both from a person point of view, and what the person is going through, their mind, their home experiences. We say we bring your whole self to work, but at the same time also, how is the work arranged from work perspective? Are we providing the necessary tools, support, and collaborative environment, teamwork? Are we ensuring that we are coaching and mentoring and providing coaches? I think one of the things that we're also doing is creating mentors and introducing formal mentorship
Right.
within the organizations that I've worked in, to allow especially the leaders to keep developing themselves and growing and performing at an optimum. So I think it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
think once you do that, the performance and productivity will come.
It will pick up. You've talked a lot about clarity and how clarity is king and how we have to have communication clarity so that all of these other things can fall in place. Before we seed off the Agatha story and come and talk about meaning, because we want to talk about meaning at work. We want to look at, you know, how Viktor Frankl talks about man's search for meaning and how can the workplace really give us that, or is that just hot air? Before we go into that, there's a question on the chat, and I'll direct it to you, Margaret, because Mike is asking, why are we focusing on Agatha and what she should or shouldn't have said? Why are we not focusing on this young person, Margaret, who should have expressed their feelings, for example, and say, I have felt really disappointed by this, or I feel that we are not communicating well, or what is causing you to say that so that I can hear where you are? Why are we focusing too much on this and not on that? What should we do better in this space, Maggie?
Yeah, so indeed, we should be able to also focus on the individual, getting to hear what they are going through and seeking feedback. Like they say, feedback is breakfast for strategy. So her being able to give us her view on how she's able to feel is able to help us now to see then how do I customize my style to be able to fit this person that I am leading. So I would think of seeking feedback and not being defensive. At times when we are given feedback, we become defensive or we attack a particular person. But it's important as leaders to hear this person when they are venting, when this person is raising concerns. As a leader, how can I reform? Not having the leadership style of saying it's either my way or you hit the highway, because you create an environment where there is threat, the employee comes to work in fear, and they are not able to deliver well.
Yes. We need to call ourselves to a meeting as leaders. So we are continuously seeking feedback, is what you are saying. Actually, we should meet in our own tent, and then we should all meet behind the blue tent. I don't know why people are always meeting behind tents. Why are we always meeting behind the green tent, blue? Why don't we meet in front of the tent? What's our agenda behind tents? I really wonder, are we conspiring or what's going on? But let's meet behind the blue tent and really see how communication can cause this intergenerational and multi-generational workforce to collaborate well together and to be in alignment together. Martin, I want to ask you about meaning at work. Is it possible? Because we are told constantly how, unlike ourselves and baby boomers, who work was for providence, it was for provision, it was for money, it was for permanent and pensionable. I just want to pay fees, I want to pay my mortgage, I want to send money back home to my mother. It was purely for that. Whether I'm slogging, whether I'm grinding, whether I'm, whatever, I'm able to take in whatever toxicity. But with the upcoming generation, it is said that they are looking for meaning at work. And if there's no meaning at work, I will quit on you. I'll send you a text. I'll not even send you a text. I'm just bye-bye, be gone. Can we find meaning at work, Martin? Like, really? Is it possible?
It should be possible. And for a long time, if you think about meaning or purpose as a destination, then it becomes difficult to find meaning at work. So two things. I think so one, the whole conversation around clarity. When you are a business, it is your job to be clear about why you exist as a business. So what is it that you're trying to solve? And then articulate that for anyone who wants to invest their time in you. So which employees want to invest time in you? So tell them very clearly, this is why we exist. And if you join us, these are the values that we espouse to. Now, if you have that level of clarity, there's an exercise I do as I do culture training, is I take an individual and help you figure out the things that are important to you, the values that are important to you.
Yes.
And once we go through that short exercise, I then take out the values of the organization as they speak and look at it and overlay the actual meaning of what is important to you to what is important in the business. And so this, again, works for businesses that are very clear on what they stand for and what they want to do. And so for you to be a good business, you already need to articulate that so that then I can find my meaning in this organization. Because then if I'm able to, one, understand what is important to me, I can see where that aligns with the business. So for instance, if you are saying that to me, family is important, okay?
Yes.
And within the business, they're saying, okay, we value growth in individuals, and part of that could be that we value you being a whole person, and part of that means giving you flexibility of time, so that then you can focus on family. And so right there, I see myself in the business. I'm not necessarily saying that every time I calculate numbers as an accountant, that then that's where my value is. But no, I'm understanding that by doing this, I'm playing a role towards adding value to this business, because this business in turn gives me the flexibility to grow a family, but also the security to put food on the table and to have a roof over my head. So those things have never gone away. In a capitalist society, the fact that we work, we exchange time for money, and so that we can then use this money for other things, that will continue to be. So what you are looking for is, how do I make my reason for waking up every morning to exchange my time for money worth my while, beyond the actual money that it gives me? Because then now anyone will give me money, but where can I do it where I feel at the end of the day I'm not wasting my time?
Right.
Yeah.
And time is so precious. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want anyone to waste my time. In fact, our attention span, I'm saying our now become a Gen Z. We, the Gen Zs, our attention span is so limited. I don't want things that are wasting my time. And so I need to find purpose in the time that I am spending in this workplace. Because I could as well be online making a lot of other money if it is purely money that I want, and not the meaning and the purpose in the thing that I show up to work for. So Martin is talking about culture. He's talking about a culture of feedback, a culture of listening, a culture of meaning and purpose, a culture which is driven by values. And leaders are the ones that drive culture. But can culture be driven from bottom up? Because we are seeing a shift in the culture from bottom up. Is it possible for the reverse to happen? What are you seeing on the ground, and can that happen really? Is there a way that this can go up and down at the same time, Margaret?
Yes. So in terms of the culture, yes, it can be from getting feedback from employees all the way to the leaders. So for instance, here in Safaricom, we do value, and our purpose is transforming people's lives. So the leaders are able to seek feedback from the employees, even as we put customer at the center of all that we do. So in terms of our solutions, you're able to gather feedback from the employees, all the solutions that we have been able to make. For instance, you'll see, like, for example, last year we were able to impact the community, where we were able to thank our customers for working with us 24 years journey, thanking them through the Sambaza Furaha campaign. That should have come even from the employees, cascading all the way to the leaders on how we can be able to impact our community as we celebrate the 24 years, of existence. So you'll find even internally, we are very supportive when it comes to inclusion, be it persons with disabilities. Again, we seek feedback. What can we be able to do better? And this has seen us playing a big role with partnerships, be it with the learning institutions, for instance, Moringa, where we are able to impact the persons with disabilities with tech skills, such that now when they come to the organization, they're able to put the theoretical bit into practice. So to answer you, can it be from employees all the way to the leaders? Definitely it has worked for us, and it's something that we need to ensure that we do within our organizations.
Indeed, we are learning, relearning, unlearning, retooling, all of these things. We are here to grab from the examples that are coming through. And if it can be done Usually we wonder, can it be done? If it can be done and it's happening, it can surely be done. Maybe I want to ask you about, is it this culture of understanding the person, how they thrive, what works for them? Sometimes I've become Gen Z, my people. I've disowned the Gen Xers. We are now with the Gen Z people. I've seen the Gen Z people in the house. I'm fluid. But he told us about fluidity. Now I'm fluid. I'm with the Gen Z team. Some of us want to work at night. We want to work at 3 a.m. We want to be able to work when we are highly productive. This 8 to 5 thing is not working for me. However, when we try, when organizations try to put this in place, sometimes we Gen Zs are so indisciplined with the thing. So how do we balance between trying to put in place a culture that causes people to thrive at their best versus this discipline issue? Because it is an issue, truth be told. What are you seeing, Mary, on the ground, and what could we do? What's best practice?
Yeah, so I think best practice is to definitely be flexible as an organization, although it also doesn't always work for everybody or for every organization. So, for example, in a bank, you can't exactly say you want to work from home and you're a teller.
Right.
So there are certain, yeah, and also I mean, if you have been in the FMCG, there are certain roles that we just said you cannot work from home or
Yes.
cannot be flexible. For example, working in a factory, or that kind of role that forces you to either physically interact with machinery or people. But I think apart from those roles, which you can specify, and I think people should be clear that these roles, don't have the opportunity for flexibility. But all other roles, in my view, should be able to be flexible enough. We should even incorporate flexibility within as a policy. So all the way from policy making, I think we need to bring in that flexible working, because it's part of the future of work. And if you do not embrace it, you will be eliminating or not making yourself as attractive as you can be. So I think organizations should think through what is the absolute requirement. Why do people have to be in the office, 8 to 5? Can they be productive if they decide they want to come in from 10 or 11 to 6 or 7? How productive can they be? I think organizations need to definitely be more forward thinking and provide those opportunities for flexibility, especially targeting in mind the generation that you're talking about. If you're an organization that is techie and you want, because of course the Gen Zs, for example, are good in technology, and you want to create digitally transformative products, for example, you need to attract the Gen Zs. So for you, if you do your data analysis and find that this is the pool of employees that will thrive or will give you the best in terms of your work or your kind of business, then you need to put in place policies and that enable that generation to be able to thrive in the organization. And those elements such as flexibility and just that collaborative mind way of working allows them to thrive. They don't have to come in on a Saturday, for example. That's just an example. They can work in the evenings if they're in IT, for example. Let us think outside the box. Let us be more open. And we are also finding that in where I work, we even have third parties that are employed not in Kenya. So we have people from Nigeria, we have people from Poland, people from Belgium. So we have this category of employees that we find they're more or less like third party, but they are key stuff for us because we have a technology arm that we develop, and we just cannot find that kind of talent in Kenya to do specific things. So we've said we want these people to work for us, but they don't necessarily want to work from Kenya. They want, and also it's very complicated to get all of them into Kenya and expensive. So we are saying let them work from wherever they are. Of course, if they're working from US, it means they're working during their day, which is during our night. So, and it's something that we have purposed and we are very conscious of, and we are very okay with. And we have people who are in the organization here in Kenya who manage them.
Right,
so they are line managers and all that, but doesn't mean that the line managers have to work at night. But they should feel inclusive. Everybody should feel inclusive.
Right.
And everybody and but it should all be to the benefit of the organization and the business that you want to thrive.
Super. You have said two very important things there, Mary. You've said many important things, but I'm picking up two things. One, we need to think out of actually, you should throw away the box. I don't know why we need to box. What's this box? We don't want it. Just throw away the box and think differently and just see what we can do so that we are all thriving. As long as we are working, we are thriving as teammates. If we can get the work done, let's get the work done. Two, you have said there's some things we can't do as Kenyans. The Kenyans in the house and our one Tanzania, we have refused those things. We are in learning mode. Those things that cannot be done, we will challenge ourselves and we shall do them so that we are the resources. And even if we are in other places, geographically, we are the resources. So we pick up that challenge from you, Mary. Now, team in the house, remember we are learning, we are staying hungry, we are staying curious. I am sure you are all reading things. So please type in the chat, what book are you reading now? What blog are you reading now? What podcasts are you listening to now? I mean, what's going on in your life in the month of March? Talk to us, because we've said that we must grow and we must thrive in this space of human capital management, leadership. And so before we go into our last conversation, we are powering into our last 30 minutes and we want to do Q&A. One more conversation and then Q&A. But for now, talk to us in the chat. What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you listening? What are you absorbing? What's going on in your life from a growth perspective? What training are you taking up? What course are you doing? Let's see what's coming up. We can learn from each other. We can borrow from what you are reading. I'm reading Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. Is good author right there. You're reading that. Oh, well done, Mark. What are you listening to, people? What are you reading? What course are you doing? What training are you undergoing? What podcast speaks to you? Or what are you writing? Are you writing articles? Are you speaking in places? Are you attending conferences? What are you doing? Talk to us. We're here for growth. We are here for development. Rachel is reading Awake the Giant Within. Okay, people, curate your reading list from here. This is what great leaders are reading and listening to. Let me see 3 or 4 more. Who's in the house? Are you not reading, people? Are you not growing? If you don't grow, you're dead, and we refuse to be dead. We refuse to be dead. Is it only these 2 people? Let me look into the chat. What's coming through? What are you listening to? What are you reading? It's your turn to speak. We've been speaking a lot. We want to have one more conversation and power to the question as we look to closing this up. Okay, you're reading Soar by Bishop T.D. Jakes. All right, I've not heard of this. Let me add it to my reading list for 2025. Christine, thank you for that. Maybe I can ask our speakers as well. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you writing? What are you learning? You can unmute and tell us as the rest put in the chat. We start with you, Martin. What are you reading? What are you writing? What are you listening to? Martin?
Yes, so at the moment I am reading a book called Never Split the Difference. Well, generally it's about the art of negotiation and how you can get the best out of any conversation that you're having. And part of it is the willingness to get to know.
Right.
Reason being, when you hear a no, then you're very clear on what the untouchable is. And then from there, you can create the right positioning to be able to get what you need out of any conversation or any negotiation for that matter.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Very nice. We'll call you back to share your learnings. Margaret, what are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you learning? Talk to us.
So what I'm learning is on data analytics. So I have done human resources, but this year I made it very intentional just to acquire a different skill set, and that's on data analysis. So I've identified an internal coach who is able to walk with me the journey, guiding me in terms of how to analyze data, but even storytelling as you analyze this data because of presentations to the business leaders. So that's a skill set that I'm acquiring.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. You'll come back and share with us. Mary, what are you up to?
So, Carol, I'm reading anything that talks about personal branding, anything that talks about career development, because I'm in that space where I would like to focus on that. And I'm being very purposeful. For example, accepting to speak for you guys today was actually part of that journey. So I'm going through a personal journey right now where I want to reinvent myself, and I'm trying to also come out of my comfort zone. Just like Margaret, I've worked with a coach who helps me to do that. So that is one of the things that I'm just working on from a personal perspective.
Awesome. Awesome. Your personal brand is coming through very, very beautifully this evening. Eugenia, you're doing a course, an ALX course on data analytics. How you should talk to Maggie there. The two of you are in sync. You're reading The Way She Leads. That's Natalie, indeed. Lessons from Women in Leadership. Let's see, Timothy, you are doing a course on basic AI, currently learning from ALX. Okay, great. Built to Last, Hillary, you're reading that. Data-driven HR, very nice, Mark. Natalie, you're listening to podcasts about public speaking. Great, 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 a great skill to learn. Shalom, you're reading My Life in Full by Indra. Great autobiography. I want to borrow that from you. Tagali, you're reading Start With Why. Beautiful book, beautiful book, beautiful book. Psychology of Money. That is on my reading list, Benson. I have that book. I will get to it. Then we can have a two-person book club. Right. Martin, recommendation on a podcast relevant to this topic, African Retool. Thank you for that recommendation. So good people, our three panelists, we just want to have one last question, and then one last question to answer, and then we look at any questions or comments from the team in the house today, whatever they want to ask. So please throw your questions in the chat, whatever you want to ask or comment or ask these great speakers that we have today. So my question goes to you, Margaret. We are in the space of rethinking and learning, etc. But there's some things that don't change. Like in the acquisition process, people come to interview. They are likely to find the Xers and the boomers. And so I'm showing up to an interview the way I am. Because Margaret, I'm imagining as a Gen Z, you want to know what's in my head. You want to know what I'm articulate about. If it's data analysis and I'm the business analyst and you're interviewing me, you want to know what I can do for you and how I can cause your data to become great information for you to make decisions. So whether I have shown up in my tattered, ripped, shredded jeans and my t-shirt written here, it's never that serious. Life is never that serious. And I've shown up to the interview. Why should you care? Why should you care, Margaret?
Yeah, so perhaps first I can start by saying how you dress is how you'll be addressed, and your first impression is a lasting impression. So even as you come for the interview, it's very important to understand the culture of the organization and ensure that you are presentable. First of all, research about the culture of the organization, but make sure that you are presentable from an appearance perspective, because even if technically perhaps you have got the skill, but how you are appearing the panel may not be able to, give so much thought to what you are saying. So presentability is going to be very key. And I like what my colleague Mary mentioned about personal branding. It's very important for you to think of yourself as a brand. So even from how you look, how you speak, how you present yourself, your confidence level, the language that you use is going to create a lasting impression, even to the panel that you're going to present yourself to. So it's very important on how you present yourself.
Right. Margaret, will that never change? Will we, the panelists, never say, let me remove this bias that I am having. Let me remove these scales from my eyes. I just see beyond what the person has presented. I know as human beings, we make decisions on an instant. You walk in the room, I've already summed you up. Will that ever change from a generational perspective? What do you see in the future?
Yes, so we have to be agile, given the dynamics. So yes, we have the young generation who feel it's more of the knowledge, it's more of the skill that I have. So for me, what I would emphasize on is organizations also adapting the skills-based hiring, focusing on someone's individual, perhaps skills. And I know at times we focus maybe from the academics, but I will focus more on the skills that this person is bringing on board. So in terms of the mindset that this person, this is how they are appearing, I think also it's a two-way approach, looking at what's in it for us if we are to onboard this particular resource within the organization.
Right. We need to just rewire. You're talking about rewiring and not be too judgmental and try to adapt, try to not bridge the things that should not be broken. There's some things that shouldn't be broken, but what can we see beyond that from a skill set perspective rather than being absolutely rigid? Martin, you are laughing at the t-shirt. I saw you laughing at my t-shirt as a Gen Z. Why? Are you judging me? Are you condemning me? Talk to us, Martin.
No. I'm not condemning you. All t-shirts are welcome here. It's just that situational awareness is key. But in all fairness, if you came into the room and you had a t-shirt, so you're very off center, I would give you the opportunity to explain why you felt that this is how you wanted to appear here, and maybe you had a valid reason, maybe you were making a point, and then I wouldn't want to miss out on talent based on a bias, and so I think the whole process again goes back to clarity. If as employers and businesses we are very clear on our why and how we make money, and therefore when I am talking to hiring managers, I'm asking them, what is the reason for this role? Why do you want this role? What pain point is this role going to be fulfilling or going to be solving? That way I can come in and look for the skill set that would be able to pacify this issue or actually solve the issue that we are trying to bring out. And your CV really is a proof of concept. But when I speak to you, so I want to understand, why should I as a business invest in you? And you need to understand as well, why should you invest your time in me? And so in creating a JD that speaks to those pain points, I see myself in that role. And when I come to the interview, I am then speaking to those things which I saw in there. But if I am not clear and all I want is a title, all I want is a warm body in a seat, then there'll always be a mismatch in how we're hiring and the type of person we're looking to hire. So I will hire the guy in a tie over the t-shirt, because what I'm looking for is a box to fill, and have decided that this box looks like X, Y, and Z, rather than, as you said, throw away the box, figure out skills. And if you allow me, this goes very, very much into a space which is seldom talked about, and what Margaret was alluding to. When you have people who've been away from the workforce and are trying to come back, let's look at returning moms, the opportunity to come back in. What are the skill sets that are actually transferable into a skill set? Running a home is not an easy task. Bringing up children on your own is not an easy task. And so all these things, you have organization skills, you have budgeting skills, all of those then move into whatever role that I'm looking for. See, if my pain point now is I need someone who can organize the space, then it shouldn't matter what industry you're from, or whether you're returning to work mom, or returning to work dad, or just someone who's been away from the country even and trying to assimilate back into the country. The skill set and skill fluidity that the business is able to afford allows the business to get the best talent available for the needs they have, rather than sticking to a JD and that's what we're interviewing, including the clothes you're wearing.
Right. You bring up a very important point. There's so much fear, Martin, around gap in my CV. People are terrified. They even sometimes try to put things in there that are not real, just to cover that gap in the CV. And so what you're saying is amazing. I think we really need to mentor the next generation of hirers, of recruiters, of recruiting managers, of people who sit in the recruiting panel, so that people do not feel judged, they do not feel diminished and demoralized when they have a gap in their CV. Sometimes people have gone off and done businesses and they've not worked and they want to come back. So like you're asking, what did you learn in that business? Because when your business didn't work, you come back with such resilience, with such character development, that you will be so great at this and this and this role. Yeah, so loving that, absolutely. Mary, let me ask you a question that has come in, and I think it speaks right into what you were talking about, because you were talking about flexibility, you were talking about people in different time zones, different geographies, and being able to think through that in a manner that causes innovation around it. Engineer Eboso is asking, how do you draw the line? And there's a very thin line between freedom and responsibility, where professionalism is concerned with Gen Zs, because this freedom of being given the choice of how you want to work, when you want to work, as long as you produce results, is great. But how do we balance between freedom and responsibility? How do we manage in that space across generations? Mary?
Yes, good question. I think in terms of managing the freedom, I think you need to have some sort of framework around what you want to achieve. So where you balance between allowing people not to work and allowing them to just be completely innovative. So I'll go back to the same example I was giving. So we have, for example, in that particular example, we have tools that we work with. We have smart sheets and different other tools, which allow people to basically log in from wherever they are, to ensure that they've logged in their work schedule. They've said they've come into work basically, instead of you imagining coming into work as a door. You come into work and log in and say, I've started working. So there are so many other tools that you use to say, I've now started working and this is what I need to achieve. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is the potential output and the agreed output, and these are the hours that I'm supposed to complete during my day, for example. So when you have that kind of multi-geographical workforce, the AI and tech tools are very, very critical in allowing you to monitor performance and helping, but at the same time provide people that space to be innovative. I think also, things like the daily catch-ups. We have the daily stand-ups that allow you to just keep on monitoring that work is actually being done. That's the 15. So using the agile methodologies as well. So the 15-minute daily stand-ups also really work very well for us. So that you are able to monitor the performance. But I think it is critical to ensure that we are not micromanaging. So if you take out the mindset of micromanagement and really, like you said, throw out the box that the person can only work if you are seeing them, then you will be able to unleash a lot of productivity on especially this generation of people. So being smart, create frameworks and guidelines to allow and clarity to allow the people to know what can I do, what is allowed, what is not allowed. How are you going to monitor my output? How are you going to monitor my performance and productivity?
Right.
How often are we? How do I reach out if I'm working from Nairobi, but I'm working at 7 and the rest of the people have gone home? What kind of support can I get? So like I said, for some particular roles, it is crucial to allow for that, because even creatives will wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, a social media person. And at 3 a.m. in the morning is when they're most creative. They've lost sleep, but they have 1,000 ideas running in their minds to be able to put down on paper. So are you going to then say you actually have to be in the office by 7 at the same time? So just identify the roles that you are flexible about, and even HR should be very clear that some of these roles you are flexible, but at the same time provide that clarity and systems and tools, and use technology to support you, because technology is the only thing that will help you to be able to get the reports, to be able to monitor that kind of thing. Anything else in between, I think you just need to forget about it. You need to not worry so much. Even if somebody was there at their desk, you don't know exactly what they're doing. You can see them, yes, but you don't know what they're doing. So you can't monitor their every move or output.
Many times you are providing co-working space. You provided the internet, the desk, the coffee is co-working space. Me, I'm online. I'm doing my own job and my own work. So it's a co-working space, like you've said. Even if somebody appears physically, they might not be productive. So you've talked about tools and being able to monitor and having that support and enable, so that, and also the constant communication, clarification from the people managing these teams, so that then it works across all generations. So we want to take questions and answers. We just have 15 minutes to go. I think we've been answering the questions as we go along. We have only 2 questions from the chat. One is, what unique strength you believe each generation brings to the workplace? What unique strengths? Martin, what unique strengths do the different generations bring to the workplace? You can take that. And then Maggie, you can take the last question, is how has your particular organization harnessed the power of this multi-generational workforce in place? So take those 2, and then we'll come to you, Mary Martin.
So I would say, if you look through the generations and the age that they've been in the business, and or that the years they've been, so off the bat, one thing that they have is the wisdom of time, and the wisdom of having practiced something to an extent where they can see very quickly when something is going wrong. What the younger generations would have is new ways of thinking. So whereas you can see what's going wrong, I can quickly create a solution now that's relevant to be able to address the issues that might come. So if I'm not listening to you as the person who's been there before, I won't know what solutions to create. But if you're not tapping into my wisdom as a younger person and my knowledge in crafting solutions that are relevant to the time, then you miss out on a whole opportunity. And so those are the strengths that are there across the different ages that are there. You know, we have 4 generations now in the workplace. So the boomers to now, boomers being, you know, the wiser, the older, the wiser. You can't take that away from them. And the Gen Zs being the people who are on touch, on the ground, know what's relevant for today. So those are the skill sets that they bring.
Indeed. And just like you're saying, we need to appreciate the wisdom, the experience, because with time, experience comes. You're not able to work on something unless you have honed your craft, you have sharpened it, you've been burnt to a nice bronze, you're shining your farm, you're in place, and then you can pass this on and on. And at the same time, the new and innovative things that are coming that were not there in the time of these others, they can pick this up very fast because people are being born with smartphones in their hands. And so for sure, there's so much to learn across board. Thank you for that.
Yes, the digital natives, and also that wisdom is not specific to the practice of a specific thing, as we've said throughout this conversation.
Yes,
it's just wisdom of been in the workplace, having been around different professionals. So it goes across. Just because someone is new in the organization, they're coming from a different industry, doesn't mean they don't have the wisdom to guide you who is younger, and vice versa. Yeah.
Correct. And just like you said, the guidance could even be on how to manage myself, how to manage my time, how to manage my stress, how to manage to upwards, downwards, how to handle colleagues, how to all of these things that in a space of mental health we really need. So the coaching and the mentorship is all round. And downwards is how to quickly adapt to things, because you find the older you go, you're more rigid. And the younger you are, you're able to adapt. So we can really learn that from young people, to be able to just change and move and pivot, as Sheila was saying. Margaret, what's working for you from this generational perspective? Because there's people who've been there forever, amen. And there's people who are coming very hot. How is this working? Right.
Great. So how we are harnessing the multi-generational teams at Safaricom is appreciating the value proposition that each generation brings on board. We already have the different, categories from baby boomers to Gen X to millennials and the Gen Z. And we do appreciate that each generation is able to contribute different ideas, unique value proposition, even as we develop our solutions. So remember, when we talk about baby boomers, they have the institutional knowledge, while we have the Gen Z and millennials being tech savvy. So we've incorporated the ideas, and this has seen us having solutions, for example, the M-Pesa service, which we know it's not just about transactions, but now you can use M-Pesa to save, you can use M-Pesa to access credit or even wealth management proposition. Remember, we used to have perhaps maybe the My Safaricom app and the M-Pesa app being different solutions. But as a result of these generations at the workplace, we now have the M-Pesa Super App that is able to give different value proposition to our customers, be it if you want to make international payments, if you want to take an insurance cover. This cannot have been achievable if we never had the different ideas and perspectives from this different generation at the workplace.
Excellent. Indeed, we are ever evolving. All right, we have 10 minutes. We want to be out of here by 7:30. It's been a long evening, but a very, very, very impactful and informative one. We've gone over and above, but here we are still together. Let's close in the next 10. Mary, what are your parting shots? What do you want to tell this good audience as the last word? What's the last word you have for us this evening, Mary?
So I think my parting shot is agility. So agility in leadership. Remember, there are different kinds of leadership. Situational leadership, coaching leadership, transformational leadership. So I think for us as leaders to be conscious of ourselves as leaders and to think about the kind of leaders we are showing up as and the kind of leadership that we are using for different situations. So I think that's as leaders, but at the same time, and for everyone to know that they are leaders, that's another thing. We are all leaders. I think we were talking about even the Gen Z person in the story you gave, also being taking responsibility, and that means also leadership for him or herself.
Yes.
So I think let's be agile. Let's keep on learning and growing. I think if you're not, somebody said, if you're not growing and learning, you're dead.
Correct.
You might as well not wake up in the morning. So constant learning, push yourself. The sky is the limit, and I think let's learn to collaborate and thrive in the organization.
Super. Collaboration, pushing ourselves, the sky is the limit, continuous learning. So it shall be. Thank you very much. Mary Martin, what's your parting shot? What do you want to tell us?
For me, it's I'll break it down into two broad categories. So for organizations, I think the organizations that are really open to the future of work and understanding that work is changing. It's not going to stay the way it has been. So being open to skills-based talent models, open to flexible work policies. Those are organizations that are going to stay winning. And of course, continuous learning that from the organizational perspective, what organizations don't know about the markets they're trying to enter and serve. And on the other side, for talent that stays winning, it has to be talent that is adaptable, that is mentally flexible, and has the right attitude. The whole notion of we hire for attitude over technical skill is a real thing. We hire for transferable skill sets, but your attitude is what keeps you in the job.
Correct. Absolutely fantastic. I love the whole switch. We are switching, we are moving. Let's have a fresh new outlook. We are embracing that. Margaret, your last words?
My parting shot will be a thought-provoking question to the audience and to all of us. Ask yourself, what are you capable of doing? Understand your potential. Miles Monroe said that the richest place is the graveyard because these are people who have got potential, but nobody told them of the capabilities.
Right.
So if you see somebody has got the potential, remember we've been called to be the light of the world. Tell that person, I see you can take up a bigger, broader role. I see you have potential in this particular area, so that we can be able to leverage on those skills, on those passions and interests that we have. So the question to all of us that we need to answer as the years goes, what are you capable of doing? Thank you.
What are you capable of doing, team? Because you are exactly who you think you are. That is what Margaret is telling us this evening. So we want to wrap it up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying this long. The recording will be available. Invite others to listen to it because we must change this world together. We have a HR Unplugged physical forum as resource associates coming up in the next quarter, and then the other webinar after that. So tell us on our social media pages what you want to hear, what topics you want to listen to. And so we want to call it a great evening. Those are how to find us, how to reach us. We want to thank you all so very much for being here. You've been a beautiful audience. May you go out there and do great things. May this multi-generational workforce work for each and every one of you. May you lead well, may you collaborate well, may you communicate well, and may you be successful in each and everything that we do. So we send you off with blessings this evening. Thank you for coming, and let's meet at the next event. So bye, everyone, and have a beautiful, beautiful evening ahead, the rest of it. Bye, everyone. Bye, see you.